and welcome to my channel. My name is Allison Clarke and I'm a senior portrait and wedding photographer based out of New Hampshire, and I'm also an educator for those who are just starting their own photography businesses. Whether you're a senior photographer or a wedding photographer, or you just want to learn a little bit more about the business side of photography, I'm your girl and I am here to answer all of your questions. This week's video is for all you portrait photographers out there who have clients who right off the bat tell you that they're awkward or they're nervous. If you've been in the business for even just a short period of time, I'm sure you've gotten this. And I want to talk to you guys today about how to kind of overcome that and deal with that at the session. I can't tell you how many times I've had a senior or a couple tell me that they've never been photographed professionally before, or that they're nervous, or that they're really awkward in front of a camera, and my answer to them is always the same, which is that I don't expect you to be a model. I don't expect that you've been photographed professionally before. Most people don't get photographed professionally very often in their life, and that I'm there to guide them through the whole thing. But there's a couple of things that I do to kind of help ease the nerves and ease the awkwardness of my clients during their session so that they enjoy the experience more and therefore love their photos. There are 4 main things that I do that I wanted to share with you guys today, so without further ado, let's hop into them. The first thing I do to kind of cut through the awkwardness and the nerves is to give my clients something to do. I do this more often with couples than with seniors, but I also do it with seniors. People feel more comfortable when they're moving and when they have an action or a task to do, instead of just sitting and smiling awkwardly at the camera, which might make them feel like the pressure is on and the heat is on. So giving them something to do, whether that be swishing their dress or walking towards you — I love a good walking shot — is always a good idea because it kind of helps ease them into the experience of being photographed by giving them something that they would do anyways. With couples, I often have them looking at each other. I have them kiss. I have one of them kiss the other's forehead. I'll have one of them twirl the other, or I'll have them, just kind of like saying silly things into each other's ears. And that kind of helps distract them from the fact that there's a girl with a camera. And so it helps ease them into the experience of being photographed, like I said, and just kind of cut through those nerves so that later we can do some photos where they are smiling at the camera, those ones that they might want to frame in their home, but we're not going to start off with those stiff poses because it just kind of, like I said, makes the pressure feel like it's on. So that is tip number 1. Tip number 2 goes for both seniors and couples, and that is to make conversation and ask them questions. It is psychologically true that people love to talk about themselves, and the more you can make conversation and the more questions you can ask your client and get them to talk, the more comfortable they'll feel with you, and therefore the less awkward and nervous they'll feel in front of your camera. So with seniors, between poses, or while they're changing their outfit or when we're walking from spot to spot, I'll ask them questions like, how's your senior year going? Are you excited to go to college? What colleges are you looking at? How's the college application process going? If I always send a questionnaire before my senior session, so I might already know that they're like a soccer player or a dancer. So then I'll ask them, like, are you planning to play soccer in college? Are you gonna what type of dance do you do? I always ask them personal questions, and typically that gets them to kind of loosen up and chat about themselves. With couples, I might ask them how wedding planning is going. I might ask them, for example, I've had a lot of sessions, engagement sessions this past month, and I've asked my couples, like, how was your summer? Did you do anything fun this summer? Any fun trips? Stuff like that. So I like to try to get them to talk about themselves, tell me stories, get them to kind of loosen up, so then when I finally pick my camera back up and point it at them, they feel a little bit more comfortable with me. My third tip to cut through the awkwardness is to demonstrate what you're talking about. So with a senior, if you're having them do a certain pose, I always demonstrate exactly what I want them to do, and I tell them at the beginning of the session that I want them to mirror me. So I'll always say, like, I'll have you wrap this arm around your waist and then put this hand up in your hair, and I'll demonstrate those things, and so that they can follow along and not be so nervous about the poses that they're doing, especially if it's a more complex pose. For couples, I'll typically have an assistant with me to my engaged sessions, whether that be my second shooter, or if I just drag my boyfriend along to help hold my reflector and do my behind the scenes. So sometimes if I'm doing a certain type of movement prompt, it's best to demonstrate it so that they know what you're talking about, and they can watch you do it, and then they feel more confident in then doing the same thing. This also keeps you from having to correct them later, which is just going to make them feel more nervous and more awkward. So if you can just demonstrate it so that they nail it on the first try, then that is the best option. And that kind of leads into my fourth tip, which is to constantly cheer them on, be their biggest cheerleader, compliment them, praise them, tell them they're doing it right. Like I said just earlier, trying not to correct them is always good, but vice versa, trying to always compliment them and praise them will make them feel like they're doing great and will help them feel less awkward in front of your camera and less nervous because they know that they're doing a good job. So the next time you walk into a session, whether it be a senior session or a couples session, use these 4 tips. If you can feel kind of within the first few minutes that your client might be a little bit nervous, or if they tell you right off the bat, I'm a little awkward in front of the camera, use these 4 tips to help break them out of their shells, help them feel more comfortable, and kind of cut through the nerves and help pose them in a way that doesn't make them feel awkward. I promise you the results will be amazing, and let me know in the comments below if you're planning on using any of these, if any of these tips are new to you, and if you have any questions about what I just talked about, I'd be happy to answer them. In addition to questions about this video, definitely leave other photography related questions in the comments below. I'd be happy to make videos about them in the future. Again, whether you're a senior photographer or a wedding photographer, or just you're a photographer wanting to know more about the business side of things, I'm more than happy to help, and I would love to make videos based on the content that you guys want to see, so definitely let me know. Make sure to hit the like button if this video is helpful to you, and hit subscribe so that you can be notified every week when I come out with a new video. And definitely check out the links in the description below. There are links to my social media pages so that you can follow along and learn more from me on a daily basis. There's a link to my website where my blog is hosted. I have tons of educational posts on there. And there's also a link to my free download, which if you haven't snagged it yet, is definitely worth a peek. It is called Posing with Confidence, 6 tips to help you slay your next senior session. And it is basically the 6 things that I do at every single senior session to help my clients feel more comfortable and more confident, that helps me portray myself in a more confident way so that they can trust me, and just overall improves their client experience as a whole. So again, if you haven't snagged it yet, it is linked in the description below. It is totally free and you should definitely check it out. And that is all I have for you guys. Make sure to check back in next Friday when I come out with my newest video. And until then, I hope you guys have a fabulous weekend.